I want to start with this. Bull Buffalo. This is a book of Oklahoma poetry that I edited. It's got pretty much everybody that's a really noted Oklahoma poet in it. Had to rake and scrape and get some. I'm in it because I'm the editor and I didn't reject my own poem. That works. One way to get published: edit your own book. That's today's publication tip. But I want to read two or three, maybe four in here. A couple of these fairly short. I've already read Jim Spurr's Open Container. I'd like to read the poet Laureate of the United States, Joy Harjo's poem that opens the book. And she was very gracious and gave us this. All of the money from the sale of this book, if it ever gets going, goes to the Howard Starks scholarship here at Southeastern. Every nickel of it, as soon as we pay for what we've laid out on having this thing published. So if you see a copy of it, buy it. And we're also having a thing in Drumright, Oklahoma, I think in September, trying to promote it since COVID knocked out most of the early sales on it and early promotions. But this poem is called The Last Song. How can you stand it, he said, the hot Oklahoma summers where you were born? This humid, thick air is choking me, and I want to go back to New Mexico. It is the only way I know how to breathe. An ancient chant that my mother knew came out of a history woven from wet, tall grass in her womb, and I know no other way than to surround my voice with the summer songs of crickets in this moist south night air. Oklahoma will be the last song I'll ever sing. She is the Poet Laureate of the United States, not the young lady who everybody is infatuated with right now, who I'm very fond of and very glad that she is drawing all the attention to poetry. But Miss Harjo is a master. I'm going to read another one by a former Oklahoma Poet Laureate and one of my absolute favorites, Benjamin Myers. He beat me in the book awards one year. I forgave him. He is really good. This poem is called Quail Hunt. One Horse, Oklahoma, 1982. The Johnson grass is like a yellow flame beneath a thin glass dome. My grandfather this morning wades into that fire, his 20 gauge draped open in the crook of his elbow like a bird he's already shot. I follow his orange plaid hunting jacket through waist-high blades of scouring blonded grass to pet the dog he's brought for nosing up the birds from bare and brushy upwards rush of scrub. I know by the time we cross this frozen creek again, the shells he's spent will bulge my pocket like a bullfrog's throat. This man was born before this land was a state, and now begins to knee his way into the high grass of his last 10 years. Not yet frail, not yet waning down to elbow and kneecap on a hospice bed, still strong as cedar root and hard red earth. The dog noses a sudden flash of bob whites up like a handful of dirt clods flung against the cold, clear dome of pre-snow sky. And some may say to shoot them down is brutal, but I already know that in a place that's mostly sky, to shoot a bird back down to earth is just a way to keep the rest of all we've got from rising to follow and falling up toward that dead, cold, forever distant, cracked and bluish dome. Benjamin Myers. That's OBU. If you want to learn about English take one of his classes. He is a master also. Another buddy of mine that I really enjoy, another Oklahoma Book Award winner. At least he had the kindness to win it in a year that I wasn't nominated. Sly Alley. The Hilltop Bar. It was the kind of place you could shoot a few games of pool. If you timed it right, you could have 4 or 6 beers under that frame painting of a naked white woman and get out before the late-nighters came in looking to get crazy. In the fall, you could see the sun sink down behind Tecumseh parking lot. It was the kind of place the 14 or 25 churches in town probably weren't happy about having just outside the city limit. But the cinder block walled beer bar has been closed for a while now. Rumor around town is that the police department bought it, and I'm thinking about joining the force just to see if that framed painting is still hanging over the bar. I think I'll do one more out of this. Oh heck, might as well do mine. Actually, I'll do 2 more. I'll do mine and then I'll do Howard Stark's since the money is going to him. Mine is Indian Paintbrushes, which is part of the title of the book, Bull, Buffalo, and Indian Paintbrushes. Flowers grow. Flickers of orange fire dancing on green fields under Oklahoma skies. Like weeds, they hold to the worst terrain and spread everywhere. They beautify discarded Coors cans and swarm beneath barbed wire, filling empty cattle pastures, piercing coyote bones taken by the grass on lands where long ago Choctaw and Chickasaw hunted. Once, as a boy, I worked the roots of a handful loose from the rocky soil across the gravel road running in front of my house and brought them to my mother's flower bed. With all the care a 10-year-old could muster, I replanted the fire between the petunias and the 4 o'clocks. But there, among the tame flowers, soon they perished. They grow wild. That's just how some things are meant to be, Mama said, as she watered her carefully tended garden in the summer heat of Oklahoma. But always, without fail, before she'd go back inside, she would walk over to the edge of our yard and look across the dusty road at the fiery red-orange blanket burning the last light of day. I think I was the wild thing she might have been talking about. In the last one, one of Mr. Stark's poems that I heard Dennis Letts read, like Running Boards, and it became another favorite. All of his poems are good if you can locate that book. It's called Sunday Morning Photograph. Most days, he had an easy daddy smell. Prince Albert smokes, man sweat, P&G soap, and the waxy musk of the oil he worked in. And his chambray shirt and Penny's overalls were silky with long wear. Now, he has a Sunday smell of faultless starch, hot irons, and rosy brilliantine. When you're dressed up, he says, your clothes wear you, and ours are wearing us. But we are grand in snowy shirts, starched linen pants, and strange new shoes. I am loved, prized, and know it. I claim his knee as mine by right, son, young lord. All in this book.